Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live, everybody. And this is Kermaco, and this is hard surface modeling in ZBrush. So before we get going, like every time, please go ahead and let me know in the chat that you can hear me okay and that the audio is working and that you can see my screen and see the video. And if you can, just holler in the chat. I'll give you guys a few seconds to do it. And while that is happening, like, subscribe, and leave a comment. This is ZBrush Live, so there's a lot of streamers. I'm one of many, and there are streams for every different type of ZBrushing that you can imagine: stylistic stuff, food, jewelry, whatever it is. This is more hard surfacey, more science fiction-y. So that's what I do. If this is the first time you've joined us, and if you haven't and you've seen us before, welcome back. All right. So definitely leave a like, definitely leave a comment, subscribe, do all the internet things. It really helps us out. And also, if you can hear me and see my screen, please let me know in the chat. Okay, so I will not start until somebody somewhere, either from YouTube or Twitch, lets me know that you can hear me okay and that you can hear my screen. And we're going to continue working on this bike. We started it on the iPad version of ZBrush, and now we are bringing it over to the PC or the desktop, and we're going to continue it here. I might do some parts on the iPad later on in the season, but for now we are going to focus on the desktop version today. Okay, so Tim, thank you. You can hear me on Facebook. Okay, wow, all right, good. And I'm assuming if you can hear me on Facebook, that kind of is the one that usually people don't connect from. So I'm assuming here we go, YouTube. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Carlo. And I guess Twitch is fine too. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I started this last time in the last two episodes, started this in the iPad version, and you can catch up on those recordings. They are available for streaming. So not streaming, but you can see them on the YouTube channel. And if you guys don't know where that is, let me know and I can tell you. And so you can kind of catch up on it there to see how we got to where we are. And I am debuting some new things here, one of which is a new kind of UI. It's based on the old one, but I definitely needed to make some adjustments to it, so that's new. And also I'm using the radial menus on the Cintiq that I'm on. And basically, just a quick run through, these top three, I just basically kept them as brushes I jump to all the time. And then these ones are actual menus, so if I click on this, it pops up a masking menu. And if I click on this, it pops up a smoothing menu and a polish menu with all the different factors. And I decided to go this route because I didn't really want to create a keystroke for every one of these things and then have a secondary radial menu. So this is kind of my new way of working. And again, this comes up wherever I am. I also have quick to solo on. And unfortunately, the button for it is in the UI, but it's way off to the side here because I usually work in 4K, and this is just a 2K or 1080p here. So I have to remember where that is, and I think it's under Edit here. So I think there's under Custom UI, no, Interface, and no, maybe not here. Let's see, Click to Solo. It's going to take me a minute to find it because I might need to turn it off at some point, and I need to be able to do it. I'll probably expose it somewhere here in the UI at some point, but for now I got to find it, and I'm pretty sure it is either in Interface or somewhere down here under If anybody knows, oh, here, under edit, yep, click to solo, allow click to solo. It's right here. Okay, so now I know where it is. I probably will remember it from this point forward. Okay, back to working on this again. So I'm just gonna, again, here, this is just a very, very super rough sketch, right? So, the one thing I wanted to do today is get a guy in here just for scale, so that's good. And then I also want to get this guy in a sitting position, so I'll do a little bit of posing here in ZBrush. So I'm just going to solo this guy out and mask this part. And right, so I'm just going to use my masking menu and grow the mask. Here, just let's boost it up a bit, and let's blur it, and then boost it some more. Okay, I don't want the hands to be masked, so let's undo that. Oh, like that, and I just want to kind of get this guy sitting down. So I'm going to invert the mask here, and let's see if I put this kind of where the spine is, about like this. And then let's grow that mask out a bit and blur it, and then start rotating this so he's sitting down like so. All right, so this is kind of an interactive thing, by the way. If you're joining for the first time, I encourage you guys to say stuff. So it's not me just working away. And it makes the interaction a little bit more interesting. We can talk about all sorts of topics. Let's see, Thanksgiving is coming up here in the US, so a lot of people are traveling and are taking time off to visit with their families. And oops, this is a little bit too down here. Let's kind of, now the anchor brush is really good for this. I guess the best thing I can do here is bring the bike up, so I'm actually posing the guy to sit on the bike. So it's kind of, oh, pizza box is on, so let's say I put him down here like this. That's good. Let's rotate him back. And again, this is just a placeholder. I'm actually not going to have a rider on this bike, but I kind of want to have it at least be, you know, at least know where things are. It's always good when you're designing something to have a human reference in there, just so you can, and it's a pretty low-res model. It does have high resolution as well, but I'm just kind of positioning him here. So his leg would be at this angle, something like that. And then let's get his legs up a little bit higher. So I can either paint this mask. There's different ways of doing this masking. I'm just kind of going to do it this way. Actually, it might be a good idea to just use the anchor brushes. So here, B, anchors. And that might be a good way to do this. So I'm just going to place one here and the other one here and just raise that up. I love the anchor brushes. They work really well for this kind of stuff. And then now I'm going to change, put the first one here and the second one here and lower this down. And I'm on rotate, I think, right? I am on rotate, good. And then again, it's not really, I don't really need to be very precious with this guy because he's not really going to be part of this. He's just there for me to kind of have an idea of where things are. Now it looks like his foot is kind of, you know, this is the kind of stuff where it's really helpful to see is that his feet are a little bit longer, and this is kind of the size of the person that's going to be sitting in here. So let's rotate this up a little bit more. So again, the anchor brush. And I do have that on my UI. I don't know why I'm choosing it from here, but I thought it might be a good idea. And just bam this up like this. And then the click to solo is kicking in. I'm going to turn that off for now. I'll turn it on later again. So allow click to solo there, and unsolo this, and whoa. Okay, and just bend this down and turn this around a little bit this way. All right, I'm just going to also just use the move brush just to kind of move this into place. So I'd still kind of, you know, I guess this is about how he would be sitting on the bike. Right, so there's a couple of things I can do here. One of the things I'm going to do is maybe make the bike just a little bit bigger. Pizza boxes, make the bike just a little bit bigger, and that will solve the problem. All right, so, and then just to rotate his feet, I guess we could just use the anchor brush again and put one here, put one here. All right, so that's about how he's going to be sitting on the bike. Now let's do the arms next. And again, I'm not really being very precious with this. It's just for reference, just to eyeball where things are. And then to do the arms. So he's going to be sitting comfortably, kind of leaning back. Something like that. And he is going to have his arms all right. You guys are still being very, very quiet. I'm curious, are you guys just watching this, or are you doing something else while you are, you know, kind of have it on in addition to doing something else? All right. Let's use the anchor brushes again. He's going on. All right, so let's move his hand up. Right, this is coming up. I should do the elbow first. Right, so here I'm kind of discovering a little bit, oops, that the handles are a little bit far away. So I have to figure out something to do there. Now I can probably get a little bit more if I rotate this up. And I wonder if move will work better for this. Move, rotate. Nope. Maybe like that. I'm just elongating his arms just a tad here, and let's bring them in. Well, I guess it's kind of close enough if it kind of rotates down. All right, then let's just put this on the elbow, and then put the other one here on the wrist. And let's bring, oh, that's not going to work. All right, let's try that. Still getting used to how this works. Oh, look, Dr. What's that superhero called? The stretchy superhero. All right. 1, 2. just going to change this back to rotate. All right, well, I think I'm just going to do the good old-fashioned gizmo way of doing this. Oh, why are those points still there? All right, let's let this autosave for a minute, and then that's weird. Huh, oh, because I'm still in the ZBrush. Okay, W, and let's just go. If I remember how to do this, it's Control click and let go click and drag. Do the gizmo one. Let's do this one more time. Control click and oh. Yeah, there's a way to do this. Oh, I think it's because it's got multiple subdivision levels. That's why. No worries. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Just kind of do this kind of selecting, invert it, put the gizmo right here, and I have a thing here. Let's see if it's in the where it basically puts the gizmo right in gizmo joint. Let's see if that works. All right. Yep. That's exactly what I wanted to do, and then just rotate it down like so, maybe about there, and then again just grab the, I'm just going to use the masking thing here, mask lasso, and skip. Let's lasso the arms. Right, and move this down a bit, so, and I'm going to rotate the wrists. Right, and rotating the arms usually is done better just kind of in here. I'm going to do the same kind of thing where I'm going to say gizmo joint, there it is, and then just rotate this way and this way. Right, I think that looks like a good posture for it, so and for the, I think I'll just bring the handles over to his hands. Just going to get an idea of where everything is going to be. It's going to be kind of like a Harley where it's higher up. Like that. There we go. All right, again, this is all just very rough, very sketchy, and I'm going to be refining it as I go on. Now, having done that, it kind of made the handles kind of not as interesting, so I'm going to mask this part and move this in because I kind of like that kind of V shape for the handles. Again, I will probably do some better design for this as things move along. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure there's a straight line to the middle of this wheel here because that's how motorcycles turn. All right. Okay, I think that's kind of good enough for me to kind of get an idea of where the guy is. Chat is still quiet. You guys are super, super quiet. I think I'm going to have to figure out a way to motivate people to talk. Enough giveaways is a good way to do it. Maybe. All right, select, move. You know what I just noticed is that the tip of my pen here is kind of had it. I probably need to put a new tip on. I'm using the old 3D Wacom mouse or mouse pen because I like this one a lot more because it's got this big button, and that's what I have this radial menu mapped to. So it makes all the difference. And I have the newer pen too, but I like this one a little bit more. Right, so I'm just kind of figuring out how I want this front wheel thing to be. And again, I'm going to be diverting away from the Akira bike today and trying to design something new. So I'm using that as kind of a good starting point or a base. But what we want to do is something different and new. And again, I'm still in the sketch mode, trying to kind of figure out some interesting shapes. One thing is kind of maybe chopping it off this way. And this is just, again, me experimenting with some design options. I don't know if I like that. What if I chop it this way? Okay. Go up a little bit higher. All right. I like any of that. I like the kind of the circular thing better. All right. Trying to find some interesting lines here that could work. I think this one's a good one. You will notice me zoom out quite a bit when I'm designing. It's kind of like squinting, you know, when something, if it works small, it works big. So I'll be zooming out quite a bit. What I'm going to do here is figure out kind of where the cylindrical part is, and for that I'm going to be using my handy dandy primitives brush, and let's bring in one of these cylinders, and let's just move, let's append or insert one of these guys, and do this, do that. What I'm trying to do here is just establishing where that kind of wheel base is. this maybe. And then let's take it all the way out. Okay, and if I press D, I have creases on this, so it basically will put it in here for me in this shape. So now I know I've got a perfect kind of cylindrical shape. Let's turn off transparency here. And just for kicks, I'm going to make that red, but maybe not exactly this color. And I'm just going to take it a little bit lighter here and fill object so I can tell what's what. And excuse me. Still have a bit of a remaining cough here. Just want to make sure I'm right. Okay, good. All right, and I just want to figure out how this, this thing will basically come into the cylinder, but I have to figure out this angle of how it's connecting over here. Maybe make this cylinder a little bit smaller. What I want to do here is also make sure that it is concentric with the wheel. So I'm going to hide this part for now, and it seems like it is. Let's turn polyframe on for it. I'm just eyeballing it. I usually, I would be a lot more kind of precious with it, but right now it's just eyeballing it. Okay, that's good. Bring this back. Don't I have symmetry on this thing? I guess I do. I wonder if the cylinder is just not centered. Maybe that's what's going on. All right, let's center the cylinder. All right, well, I think another way to do it is just mirror and weld it. Okay, that fixes that problem. I don't have to move it now. And let's go back to this and put this inside. Let's go back to the cylinder. Let's go back to this. All right. Hey, Chavi, how's it going, man? Thank you for joining us live. hopefully you guys had a good week. Actually, a couple of weeks since I was streaming last. I'm still trying to get a night together somehow to do a stream outside of ZBrush Live, just in my own kind of stream. And I haven't gotten around to it yet. I've been promising it for a while now. I better get to it. But I've been working on another project as well, so I've been super busy getting that ready. I was hoping to have it for Black Friday, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. But I'm working on a really cool kit bash kit that you can use in ZBrush and also Blender and also any other program. So stay tuned, it's getting there. It's pretty close. All right, well, this is kind of looking a little bit better. Kind of want to go from big to small here, so I'm just going to see if I can add a little bit more to it down here. That's good. And again, this is just really, really rough right now. It's very, very kind of, you know, it's too much of a sketch. So we're going to be refining it. All I'm doing is just finding the major shapes and then working those out. So these would be cool as lights. So let's just kind of pull these out like this. Maybe these could be lights like this. And it's funny that I started this in red, but it's not going to end up being red. It's going to be probably something like a metallic color to suit kind of the writer who's not going to be sitting in there writing. They're going to be standing next to it. And again, it's on my Instagram. I showed it last time. I probably will show it again towards the end of the stream so you can see it. Okay, so these would probably be some sort of lights. And I kind of like the silhouette that that's creating from the top. I like this kind of little bit of a line this way. And I got to figure out what these are over here. Oh wow! All right. It's passing. Okay. Yeah, there is no ZBrush Summit this year. I know. I'm disappointed too. Yeah, there isn't one. I think the last I heard from the guys is that they are looking to do some sort of a, you know, kind of a more a bigger thing than what they had before. Something kind of in the scale of an Adobe Max. So the good news is, the bad news is there isn't one this year. The good news is when there is one, it's going to be much cooler than what we had before. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, no ZBrush Summit this year. And the thing is, I don't know if you guys know, but the reason why the ZBrush Summit was where it was is because it was at the Gnomon campus, the Gnomon School of Visual Effects, which is also where Pixelogic had their offices. And since then, Gnomon has moved offices, and I think that building is going to get demolished. That whole thing is going to be demolished. So I don't know if even the Maxon or Pixel, the Maxon folks are going to still continue to be there too. So, man, that place was legendary. I'm gonna miss it. All right, I've got somebody who wrote in Russian, so I have to use Google Translate to translate what you're saying, buddy. I'm assuming it's Russian. It could also be some other language. So let me real quick bring up Google Translate here and translate what you're saying so I can answer it for you. And hopefully I can answer it in English, and you can maybe use some AI tool or something. All right, so copy and paste. Nope, I don't want to print, I want to paste. All right, translating from detect language to English. Okay, so you added Eternal Hate. You added a image to Spotlight, and it's too pixelated. So with Spotlight, and let me see if I can do this. Let me just add a texture here. Well, I can just use one of these textures. So let's say I choose, I don't know, this texture, right? And if I add it to Spotlight, right? And if I make it bigger, right? So if I make this bigger, right, it's going to start getting pixelated like this. So this has to do with the resolution of your image. You can see it's kind of getting pixelated. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a high resolution image, a bigger image. So you saw me when I pasted this in, and let me get rid of it. See, when I chose it, when I chose the texture, and I'll choose another one. I'll choose these jelly beans here. And when I add it to Spotlight, it comes out in the size that it is, right? So if I make it bigger now, it's going to get pixelated. So make sure that whatever you bring in is the right resolution, and then that'll help. Hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, you can continue to ask. Chavi, you have a personal project with the bike? That's great. Awesome. Yeah, this should work. I don't think it's gone forever. I don't think the summit is gone forever. I think it'll be there again. Oh, okay. Eternally, you came back. Yeah, you know, again, it all has to do with the resolution of the image. So here, if I have all these textures, for example, if one of them is a higher resolution texture, like if I bring in this guy, right, and I load him in, see, he's pretty high resolution, so he doesn't come out pixelated, right? So, but if I go bigger, you know, at some point he's going to start getting pixelated. So make sure that whenever you're bringing your image in, that it is a high resolution image. All right. Yeah, I think they will have the summit again. I'm pretty sure they will. I mean, it might not be called a ZBrush Summit. It might be called something else, but they will definitely have an event, a yearly event of sorts. It's just, you know, one of the problems with something like that is where to do it. The ZBrush Summit was in LA, but Maxon is all over the place. They're a German company, so they might have something in Europe. I think Adobe has Max in different locations, so maybe they'll look in how that's being done. I don't know. This is all, by the way, speculation. I don't know any of this for sure. Here I'm just kind of figuring out this canopy, and I kind of like the Akira one where it's kind of like all this way, but I want to see if I can kind of maybe do just looking for some kind of interesting lines here. And you can see I'm just kind of, I've got the 3 brushes I use the most over there. I've got a couple on hotkeys as well. So between, 5 brushes are ones that I use all the time. And then all the other brushes are here. So like, I've got 1 brush, a bunch of brushes here. I've got 2 brush, a bunch of brushes over here. And then I've got select, move, polish, and mask. So I can get to the majority of what I want right where I am. I don't have to go to the UI to do it. And then I kind of put a bunch of stuff over here. I redid this completely. This is pretty much the same on the right, and on the left it's pretty much the same as well. So yeah, when people ask me, give me your UI, I'll be like, okay, but it's going to change. And I have a whole folder full of them. And they are literally over 100 UIs since I started using ZBrush. It might be interesting to do a collage of them at some point. All right. Let's see. What did I watch lately? Science fiction wise, I watched the new Dune series. Which is kind of strange. I'm still kind of getting my bearings on it. The designs, I don't know if it is the same Dune as the movie, but some of the designs are similar and some of the designs are not. And this is supposed to be like 1,000 years before the movie stuff. So it was really interesting to kind of look at the designs and what they decided to do. And movie-wise, I don't think there's anything sci-fi movie-wise out lately. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's purely speculation. I think, Maxon is their main product is Maxon 1, right? I mean, ZBrush is no longer its own thing. It's part of a family of products. So, they're integrating a lot of the stuff into ZBrush, and they're making the channel from ZBrush to Redshift, from ZBrush to Cinema 4D to be kind of more inclusive. So they're, it's about the family of products. And I don't, the last ZBrush Summit was not very well attended, unfortunately. And I would say that's probably mostly because it was like at the tail end of COVID and everybody was still kind of in COVID kind of syndrome. So, so that's why I think that they might have just said, okay, let's just kind of regroup and figure it out. And again, this is all speculation. I don't know for sure what's going on. It would really suck if they didn't do one. I mean, the community really, everybody I know loved the ZBrush Summit. The community just really came together. It was like a good place to see everybody. A lot of people came from all over the world. It was kind of the presentations were always really great. So yeah, I think, it's definitely a new day. There's a lot of new things happening. The industry itself is really hurting. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but work's been really kind of dismal for a lot of people in the industry. I'm feeling the pinch as well. And I don't know if it's going to recover. So there's a lot of unknowns, is what I'm trying to say. And as those unknowns become more known, we'll find out what they do. Well, yeah. I think one thing people don't realize is that Pixelogic was a very small company There was very few people. So now they're a bigger company and there's a lot of different moving parts. So I don't know. I think they've been really focusing very hard on getting the iPad version out. And as much as I was kind of thinking it was going to be a scaled down version of ZBrush, it's really good. Oh yeah, the first. So you were saying the first summit was what got? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people, a lot of artists would say the same. I think the ZBrush community is one of the biggest things about ZBrush that is really great. But it's a good thing you guys are saying this in the chat, because hopefully somebody from Maxon is looking at this and they are taking note. I think they know. I think, you know, I think Paul and Ian and some of the folks there know. All right, I've kind of been in this piece for way too long. I like how it's coming along, but I'm going to move now to the piece in the back and do something similar. So I'm just going to take that cylinder and copy it over. Rocky. Let's make another one over here. And again, let's hide this part. Make sure this thing is aligned correctly. There it is. Cool. Yep. Right. And let's work on this piece in the back. Yeah, and I think, you know, I'm seeing a lot of different kind of artists popping on as well. So I think there's some new streamers coming on, and just kind of, again here, just using the Damien standard just as a sketch tool, just to sketch out. Keep accidentally hitting that button. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what role they're in anymore. They could be doing other things, right? When a company acquires another company, they move people around, they put them in charge of different things. I think Paul is still involved, quite involved with ZBrush, so he's on every once in a while. But yeah, they could be doing other things. I don't know. Kind of trying to see what I can do with this back piece here. Yeah, no, I hear you. I think a lot of people were worried when, you know, Pixelogic got, merged with Maxon. But, I think the ZBrush for iPad should give everybody a lot of hope as to that. Let's see, select move. I want. I guess I do want it from here. It should give a lot of people hope that they're going to do good things with it. So I think the iPad version of ZBrush is really good. The integration of Redshift is good. So hopefully things will continue to go well. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't see at all until the ZBrush Summit, and it's just like a kind of a family get together of sorts. But that last one was so weird because one, Maxon had acquired Pixelogic. It was the last one at the Noman campus. There was a lot of things in it that seemed to be, that were bringing forth the winds of change. So, and unfortunately, I wish it was more heavily attended. I think that would have made a big difference, but I don't know what's happening this year. Well, yeah. Well, the good news is if they do this thing like Adobe Max, there might be something in Europe, right? I mean, they are in Europe, so they might have something in Europe. Maybe something in Germany or France, or maybe they'll move around. Maybe it'll be like SIGGRAPH. I don't know. I think the other thing also is that I don't know if people are okay with their subscription only model. So if people are not subscribing, then that's also not good, because that means if ZBrush doesn't make the revenue, then they can't invest in summits or do other things too. Yeah, I don't know. I think Pixelogic had a really good model going there for a while, so I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. I'm still trying to find a good kind of design here in the back that will work. I'm trying different things. I think today it'll be mostly sketching as well, and then next time I'll start tightening it up. Yeah, the online, you're right. I mean, COVID just really threw a wrench in. I mean, we should be very proud of ourselves to have survived COVID, but, it has a long tail. We're still kind of recovering from it. There were a lot of things done during COVID that are going to stay with us for a while. So, I mean, we survived it for sure. That's great. But I think a lot of things happened during that are still kind of in play, and we haven't recovered from it yet. And we don't really think about it, but that wasn't that long ago. It was only like 2-3 years ago that it started. So, But yeah, I think one of the things that really is kind of worrying me right now is the state of the industry. I know a lot of really good artists that are out of work. Yeah, Maxon one is pretty neat. I mean, even if you just have the ZBrush license, you get ZBrush for iPad and you get Redshift CPU with it, right? And if you have Maxon Maxon 1, you get Redshift GPU plus Cinema 4D plus, I don't know, Red Giant Suite. I really haven't had the time to mess with that. So I don't know if that's kind of a value to me, but just Cinema 4D and all the ZBrush capabilities are pretty neat. And Cinema 4D is pretty nice program. Maxon is having some sort of a seminar on if you're on holiday on vacation and you need something to do. I think they're doing a boot camp on Cinema 4D, and I'm going to do it. I mean, I know Cinema 4D pretty well, but I don't know it as well as I know Maya or Blender. So I'm going to attend that this coming week, and you guys can go register for it. I can show you the. Let me see. I think I have a browser window with it somewhere. Where are you? You can look. You can just look it up. I just look at Maxon. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. And yeah, there we go. Let me get this out of the way. So create Maxon Cinema 4D Fundamentals Workshop. Making waffles with Ellie Wade. She's really good. She's a really good trainer. So yeah, it's November 25th to 29th. Streaming twice a day at 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. And these are all the different things they're going to cover. So yeah, I mean, I might just do that just to kind of, see if I can learn. I always learn something new. She's always good with what she talks about. So she's kind of the Paul of Cinema 4D and Redshift. So it might be worth giving it a watch. And I honestly think it's going to be more and more integrated. Cinema 4D and ZBrush are going to be more and more integrated as time moves on. So it's a good thing. It's a good practice to have. So if you're a Maxon 1 user and you're getting your bearings on it, it's a good way to... All right, I'm still kind of figuring out how this back piece is going to be. I kind of wish it wasn't like this. Let's see if this works. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to completely move off the Akira design, see if this works better. Like it just went straight. No. No. I think it being 90 degrees from the way the person is sitting is probably, or perpendicular to the person is probably the best we can do with this. That's looking okay. And then let's see what we can do with this top part. All right, so now I'm moving to another piece. Whenever I'm frustrated with one piece, it's always, from a design perspective, it's always kind of good to move around. So I'm thinking of maybe seeing what we can do here. I can't have this big part in the back be too thick because he's going to be looking back sometimes. So I'm going to streamline it a bit. All right, let's see here. Oh, you're using Modo. Yeah, that was really, really kind of um, I think that was a really good program that is dead, and I'm really bummed about that. I'm super, super bummed about Modo going away. I used Modo in the day, and I thought it had a lot of really cool capabilities. I still have 901 on my machine, and use it to do mesh fusion. I think mesh fusion was a really cool capability of it. And I have friends of mine who are diehard Modo users. They were devastated. People who've been on, I mean, I was on it with version 102, I think, but I know some friends of mine that have been using it ever since it came out. But that's what happens. And I mean, that's kind of, whenever these corporations buy a product, they usually buy it because either the original developers are moving to something else, or sometimes maybe the company is in trouble financially and they need something to kind of bail them out. So I don't think that was the case with Pixelogic. I really don't. I think they just noticed that they were at a point where, they needed to have a good renderer, and Redshift was that renderer. All right, let's see. There are links to download Modo for free. Is that what you're saying? I didn't know that. So you can get the new version for free? I thought if you subscribe to it, you could get it for free. I don't think it's available for free. But I don't know for sure. I didn't really check into it. It'd be nice if it was. I think it would be nice if they just open sourced it. But yeah, the modeling in Modo was really, really good. Honestly, if you have the right plugins in Maya, it's pretty good too. There's a lot of modelers around. There's like Silo. I know a lot of artists that kind of just use Silo to model. And Blender actually is not too shabby. You can get a couple of plugins and use that for modeling. Yeah, look at that. All right, thanks for the link. I will definitely link to it. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I know the guys at Pixel Fondue. Yeah, I know them really well. Yeah, man. Like, why don't they just sell it? Why doesn't somebody just buy it and do something with it? Here's the other thing too. I mean, we're not talking about the elephant in the room here, but the elephant in the room is AI, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the Coca-Cola commercial that they did. And I remember when they did that Coca-Cola commercial with CG, and it was like a big CGI showcase, like, oh yeah, look at all the cool things we can do now with computers, and so that was the big deal. And now there's this like really kind of weird, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but this weird Coca-Cola commercial that's using AI. And so I think, it's just the, it's the word of the day. It's the technology of the day. It's getting a lot of airplay. And, it's just one of these things where they're going like, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get so much better. There's more movies of it using it. And they used it in that new Tom Hanks movie Zemeckis used it in that. You know, what's his name? Ridley Scott's behind it. So is what's his name? Why am I not remembering his name? Should remember his name. But yeah, I think a lot of people are investing in it, and I think the movie industry in itself is not really doing well. I think COVID really messed them up too. So they're looking to make movies a lot cheaper, and they think AI is going to do it. I personally think it's not, but you know. But I don't know what kind of AI technologies are in the hopper. I don't know what kind of things people are working on. I mean, judging by what's out there, there are some neat things you can do with it, but it's still somewhat limited. Like, I don't know if I could replace a concept designer with AI, but I probably can hire a concept designer that uses AI and get to the desired thing a lot faster, and maybe cheaper. I don't know. But as much as I talk to people, like, you know, they're talking about it, but I don't, you know, nobody's really telling me if they're using it in production. Like, everybody's talking about the promise of it, but nobody's, you know, talking about the delivery of it, unless anybody knows anything different. Yeah, investors are, that's right. A lot of money is being poured into AI. That is correct. And I don't know how long they're going to go and pour money into it until, you know, they figure, okay, this is really not delivering anymore. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to up the resolution of dynamesh here a little bit. Again, this is all dynamesh. This is all very much very rough still, but I'm trying to establish some shapes and a good design language, and then I'll just build up from there. So I did start with the Akira bike as an inspiration, and I'm still kind of little by little narrowing in on what I want this to be. And I don't think a lot of designers design this way. I think very few people do it this way. I think there's a very rigid design process for cars and motorcycles that industrial designers or automotive designers do, and I'm kind of going off the beaten path here. But it'll be interesting to see what the result of this is, and if it is, you know, compelling enough, I might create a course for industrial or automotive designers to use ZBrush as a way to design. But if you thought about the legs back position for the driver, you mean like leaning forward? You mean like doing something like this? No, I kind of want to go with the sit back position, because this is kind of like more of like a Harley bike, so he's kind of in it. It's just like, you know, I kind of like the Akira bike of, you know, this is going to be comfortable. He's going to be going for a long time. You know, the kind of lean forward Tron way of doing it is kind of neat as well. You know, that was something I was throwing around, but I decided to go in this direction for this one. I might, you know, if I like this bike, I might do another one. I don't know. We'll see how long it takes. I don't intend this to take a very, very long time. I hope I'm going to finish this season or pretty quickly. So I don't think this bike's going to take as long as like some of the characters or some of the other things we've worked on, the mechs and whatnot. But who knows? Yeah, I would say that. A gun would be an interesting thing to do. But it's just like, you know, I'm so depressed with all the war that's going on in the world right now that I'm kind of over the whole gun thing for a while. I mean, the last thing we need is more guns, and so I might take a rest from doing guns for a while and focus more on doing things that are not destructive. Well, I think AI is kind of just going to be another kind of thing that people use. I don't think it's going to replace too much of stuff. I mean, I'm just speculating here, but one of the AI tools that I see a lot being used by fellow artists and designers is Viscom. And they're claiming that their content is excuse me, they're assuming that their content is ethically sourced. So, and I don't know if that's true or not. I think they're all using the same kind of LLMs, but also it kind of, you know, you can drive it with your drawings and your sketches. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, even with that, I think the results are very similar to what's out there. So I don't know. Like, I can't imagine a designer starting out saying, this is what I want to do, and this is what's in my head. So I'm designing this bike right now. Yeah, I'm kind of exploring some designs and shapes and whatnot, but I do have a little bit of an idea of what I want this to be like in the end. And I mean, I can't imagine doing what I'm doing right now in AI. And I did do a thing where I basically used you know, ZBrush kind of early stages to drive an AI. You know, I did that in one of my streams, which was taken down. But I do understand like how that could be useful. But yeah, I still kind of, I think the thing with AI, and I've described it as this to many of my friends who are more invested in it. It's like, you know, you kind of want a hamburger, let's say, and what AI does, it gives you a really delicious pizza. I mean, yeah, it's a good pizza, but you wanted a hamburger, right? I think that's kind of the analogy I'll make. And I think that's kind of the problem, is that you're not really getting exactly what you want. You're getting something good, but and maybe that's acceptable and that's fine. And if you're looking at somebody who's in a hurry and has a very limited budget, that might be enough for them. I think the other problem is that a lot of the people that are in charge of artists are money people, and they are very much driven by cost cutting and good enoughness. So they don't want something that's perfect, they just want something that's good enough. Right, so I'm kind of nailing in some sort of a interesting design here in the back for this. And it's coming together. So, I mean, right now, if I look at it from this distance, it's got design elements that I'm happy with. And of course, it'll be more and more honed in as time goes on. But I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing so far. And you see me going back and forth to different parts just because, you know, all of a sudden when I work on one thing, then it drives the shape language of something else, and then I can just kind of continue doing that. Okay. Maybe I should use AccuCurve. Where did I put AccuCurve? There you are. All right. Yeah, it is good for reference, I guess. I don't know, but again, even with that, you know, even for reference, like when I go reference hunting, and you know, I go in my books, or I go online on Pinterest, or I go on you know, on Google or whatever. When I find images, you know, when I go on a hunt for reference images, I know that if I spend a certain amount of time, that I'm going to get something that I am happy with. But with AI, I could spend a day and get nothing, and then spend another day and get nothing. And if I'm if I'm losing a lot of days like that, it's not like a dependable, way of getting reference images. So unless somebody's already generated it and you're like, okay, all this works, you generating images, it takes too long. It's too much of a headache. And I guess you can drive it with some images yourself too, but I don't know. Again, I'm still not 100% sold that it's going to deliver on its promise. All right, let's shift over to here. How are we doing on time? We're doing good. Let's see what you guys are saying. You know, by the way, thank you very much for having a dialogue. This is great. It really makes working a lot more fun. Yeah. I mean, if something works for you, that's awesome. Personally, I still kind of like, I mean, I have a really good reference library, so, you know, for the kinds of things that I do, I don't even need to go onto the internet. I usually have the images that I want. But, you know, to just kind of throw in a random thing in there that I didn't have before, or that I'm kind of, you know, get the, for example, here, let's look at the reference for what I'm doing right now. And I should show it to you guys. So if I'm looking at the reference I have here, right? I mean, I've got a lot of these bikes from Black Matter, or not Black Matter. What's Barbara Custom Motorcycles, right? Like, so I get a lot of design ideas from these things right here. This is a 3D model that somebody did. I had in my reference. Here's the Akira bike. Here's a bike that I thought was interesting looking. Here's another one. Here's this one that's pretty cool, right? So all these images that you see on the left, I had in my library already, right? I had this in my library. I had this in my library. These are AI. So these two are AI. This I don't think is AI, but these are AI. This one is. This one is not. Right? So, there are a lot of AI images. There's some real images, and all the real images, all the other images that are in here are not AI. I didn't generate them. And even these ones are not ones that I generated. They're just AI images that I kind of was looking at this artist and I thought, oh yeah, these look cool. I get, there's a lot of really interesting elements in here that I could use, right? But if I look at this whole thing, maybe, whoops, just do. I don't know what just happened, but I'll just move ZBrush back here and bring this back. So if I was looking at, oh, that's what happened. I inadvertently locked this. Okay, so if I look at all this, maybe, I don't know, 1/4 of it, and I'm being generous here, is AI, and the rest of it is just images from before. So yeah, and even the AI images are not images that I, generated. They're images that I kind of just collected over time. I'm always looking on Instagram, and when I see something that I like, I usually nab it. And yeah, so I mean, if it was a project that I was on and I didn't have reference myself, then I'd go looking for it. But most of the time, I have enough. And that's kind of another reason why people hire me, is because they know that I'm not going to be spending too much time looking for stuff, because I have a very good library and I have a very good visual vocabulary that I can refer to. But if somebody is new, and they don't have this library and they just want to generate stuff, then they can do it. Or if it's a topic that I have no, I mean, nowadays I'm taking any work. I'm not being as picky. I used to have my inbox full of people asking for, asking for availability and this, that, and the other, and that has changed. So now it's like just tumbleweeds. And so whenever somebody comes to me with like some sort of a proposal, or if I am hunting for work and I find something, and if, like I would never be doing strawberries being crushed, or whatever. But if nowadays like somebody comes to me and wants me to do it, then I probably will, if I don't have any other projects coming up, then I will do it. And then if I don't have those types of images in my library, I probably will still kind of do my routine of going to Google and whatnot, but I also will spend a little bit of time seeing if I can get some generated images. But I tend not to want to support these AI companies, just because I feel like, there's a very big pushback from artists. There's the community of artists are very anti what's going on. I've got a lot of friends that are like, no AI people. And also the images are kind of boring. Let's be real here. For a non-artist, maybe they're great, but for artists, it's like, okay, can't, it's not that good. Yep. Chavi, you're not the only person out of work. There's a lot of great artists that are just sitting around saying like, what's going on? I don't know if anything's going to change in the coming year. Hopefully for the better. Well, you definitely do need an internet presence, for sure. That's the other thing that's worrying artists, is like, a lot now, Meta just said that they're going to scrape images and their content for AI, and X has been doing it for a while, or Twitter. And it's funny, they're saying they're going to do it now, but I bet they've been doing it this whole time. So artists are really freaking out about that too. They're freaking out that their work's just going to be used. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, you gotta think that a lot of these companies have stuff that we haven't seen yet, right? So, I mean, like the stuff we're seeing now is stuff that they were developing maybe a year ago. So who knows what they're working on now? And I'm sure they're showing stuff behind closed doors. So. I think there's a really good ILM movie. I think it's on Apple TV. I don't know I don't remember what it's called, the ILM story or something like that. And there's a thing in it where they were doing Jurassic Park with all practical effects, right? And you had a guy. I want to say it's Phil Tippett, but it's not. And I don't know why I'm forgetting his name, but he's like a big deal in, practical sculpture. And, why can't I think of his name? Let me just Google him real quick. See. I think maybe it is Phil Tippett. I think it is Phil Tippett. So I was right. And there's a scene in it where he's like, they show him the running dinosaurs with CGI. Because CGI, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, it was really lame for a long time. And, I mean, if you look at, like, The Last Starfighter or, stuff in Tron or whatever, yeah, it's cool and everything. But when, Softimage did its thing, and when the first versions of Softimage were kind of coming out, and the type of rigging and animation and modeling and texturing and things that were kind of happening in those days. I remember like Phil Tippett just looking at that and going like, okay, I mean, I'm at the top of my game and I'm really good at what I do. But, this really makes my entire thing pointless. Which it didn't. I mean, he still worked on Jurassic Park, and he still is very relevant in what he does, and what he does helps with CGI as well. But it was definitely a huge paradigm shift. So I don't know if artists are, in companies are seeing things of that scale where they're going like, oh my God, this is it, we're done. We are, what we do is irrelevant. People are just going to be doing this from this point on. They're just going to be writing prompts, getting what they want. They're going to be writing a prompt to get a movie. Anybody could be making these movies. The only advantage that Hollywood is going to have, or big companies are going to have, is they're going to have more supercomputers doing their churning and generating results quicker. And then that's it. It's going to be a point where anybody can generate a movie using AI, and I think that's kind of the model that people are afraid of. And then it no longer matters that a movie is made in Hollywood. I mean, of course, there'll still be Hollywood blockbusters and all that, but I mean, there's nothing to say that somebody can't just make a movie on their own, and have it be super, super successful. It just takes one to open the floodgates. Like if you look at CG, for example, the movies that kind of put CG on the map are Jurassic Park, That was a really big one. Terminator 2, that was a really big one. And Toy Story. So you take those 3 movies that really made a big impact on the on CG being a thing, right? And then look at now, there's like so many CG movies out. You know, Pixar usually has 2 a year. DreamWorks has 2 a year. And then there's all of the ones on the streaming services. So it went from nothing to like being all that. And you know, hand animated movies are no longer a thing. There still are some, but yeah. Yeah, CGI is still lame. You know, with what's there now, nothing. With what's there now with AI, I don't think they can make a good film. I think, you know, maybe they can use it in a film or whatever. I don't think, you know, I don't think anybody is using AI to make a good film. There's some shorts, there's some, you know, little movies that have won awards and whatnot, but nothing really of any significance. But it just takes one. It takes one smart artist to figure out a way to do an interesting movie, you know, like. And the other thing also is that attention spans are pretty short. So like, let's say somebody made a, I don't know, 15-minute TikTok movie, and it really resonated with new generations, and it was a big deal, you know. That could do it. It doesn't have to be like a deep movie. It just has to be something something cool. Yeah, I think that's the argument that people are saying, but I mean, I personally don't like, you know, reality TV. I never really did. And I thought it was kind of, you know, I thought it was not reality. And but reality TV is a big deal, you know. I mean, I don't watch it, but I hear a lot of people talking about The Bachelor, and oh, this season of The Bachelor, and blah blah blah, and the Silver Bachelor, and the, you know, Golden Bachelor, or whatever, you know, like there are all these different shows that I have no idea about that are reality TV that are still going on, that are still a big deal. So, you know, who am I to say? You know, half the stuff my kids watch on TikTok I don't get. So, you know, somebody does some TikTok thing or whatever with AI, and it becomes very popular, and that's the end of it. Then it becomes a genre. But still, it's got to tell a good story. It's still got to have the elements. But, you know, who knows? Maybe AI could still have the remnants of this cough. Maybe AI can do that too. I don't know. I mean, it's just a whole new technology that has a lot of promise, but it could also fall flat on its face. Who knows? All right, Chavi, you should go to bed. All right, this back piece is kind of, I wonder if I just chop it off. I'm just going to do the knife curve, and I'm going to do the split to parts. And I'm just going to see if I can separate this piece out. I kind of took a big risk not saving before that, so I'm just going to save now. All right, let's see if I can just, is it still in one piece? It is. Split mask points. Do I like it better like this? Or I kind of like it more like this, but it doesn't have to be this big. Oop. And I'm just going to merge this back. Redo this and refill it with the color. All right, it's coming together. Kind of like the way this turned out more. I think this is my favorite part of working with ZBrush is the sketching. Not to say that the other parts are not as fun, but this is kind of, you know, it's so much can happen in this little bit of time here. Like 2-3 hours of this can, you know, can be so, it could decide so much of what's to come. Determining the planes and figuring out how this works. All right, wow, a lot of people. All right, let's see if there's any other person that is going to continue our chat. Again, all I'm doing is just determining interesting shapes and getting to that point. What's the gradient slider usage? Are you talking about this thing right here? License to be on this thing? This is the only gradient slider there is. Okay, so I think is it again, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about. And then the weighted smooth mode, and I don't know what you're talking about, weighted smooth mode. I'm not sure what you're asking. If you could specify it more, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to take the writer off for now. I should just chop this into two. I'm going to do it. Quick save before I do it. Slider, you were hovering over. Oh, this one right here. So this one is in this menu right here. So if you go to color, right, it's this right here, and you can put it in your UI. The reason why I have that is because you know, if I want to pick a background color, for example, I mean, this is one thing that I use it for all the time. I just have that over here too in my UI. So I click on that and then I can just choose the color of gray that I want over here. So it's good for that. And also it's good for at any point in time, if I want to choose a color, a gray color, it's an easy way to get that color. So it's super helpful for that. And under brush modifier. Oh, okay. So this is so when you go to Lightbox, and let me bring that up, right? You've got all these. If you go to brushes, right? And then you've got your smoothing brushes, which are over here. All right. So a lot of these smoothing brushes, the only thing that's different is the depth and also the weighted smooth mode. So for example, you can see if you hover over it, it tells you what the different ones are. So 0 is the standard one. 1 is stronger. 2 is valence, which means it smooths out that's like when you hold down the shift key. That's what it does. It kind of moves the polygons around. And 3 is subdivision. 4 is stroke direction, which is kind of like smooth directional. 5 is perpendicular to the stroke direction. 6 is it does it for groups. And 7, it does it for creased edges. And 8 is tangent edges. And 9 is groups intersection. So instead of going and choosing the different brushes, I can just move this back and forth to get that brush. And I don't use that very often. I just have it there because I wanted to see if it works better to do that. But that said, what I have here is I have my smooth and polish brush, and I have all the smooth brushes here. So this might be a faster way to get to those. So notice here that if I do smooth, let's see, where's directional? If I choose smooth directional, you will notice that if I hold shift down, see that number changes to 4. And so 4 is the stroke direction, right? Okay, so that's what that's for. So it's to choose the smooth brush options that you have without actually having to choose the brush itself. Hope that explains it. And again, my UI is ever evolving, and I do things like that. I put stuff there, and then, you know, when I'm doing a review of my UI, if I notice that I haven't been using something, then that's a good reason to get rid of it. Or to put it somewhere else or whatever, put it somewhere less kind of prominent. Did I not? Okay, let's do it again. I'm just going to separate these pieces out, and a good way to do that is to do the knife, but also if you do the knife, so Control-Shift, knife curve, and if you hold the space bar down, the split to parts is really cool. It just allows you to cut the object into two, and then just split the mask points, and that just creates another polygroup, or I'm sorry, another subtool, and then and then you can just work on it that way. It's a good way to kind of chop things up. Here, I'm just gonna see, I'm gonna turn that off for now, and I just don't want this piece over here, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Maybe do this. Dynamesh. You know, Knife has gotten a lot better. I think they've done a lot of, you know, in the newer versions of ZBrush. Since I subscribe, I'm working on the latest versions, and I see a big difference in the Knife brush in the new versions. So I just thought I'd mention that. Okay, there's like this weird frame going on. Okay, so a good tip here is that if you get a lot of this kind of weird little artifacting going on with dynamesh, a good way to get rid of it is just select a little piece, do Control-Shift-A, and then, oops, and then do a delete hidden, and that'll get rid of kind of the floaty points, and then just kind of continue to smooth it, and then redynamesh, smooth, redynamesh, and then eventually it all goes away. You can also reduce the dynamesh resolution. Okay, so there's still like little floaties there, so again, same trick. Right, so I'm good. All right, so there's that piece, and then let's see what if the other piece has weird things to it. Nope, this one looks like it's pretty straightforward. Let's just make it red here and soften these guys up. Okay, and eventually I'll be chopping this thing up, all of it, into different parts, but right now I'm just and I mean, I wouldn't want a straight line here right in the point where this would kind of break. I mean, probably one of them will go into the other one. But right now it's good the way it is. Yeah, so the thing with the knife brush is, you know, the newer versions definitely have done some work in stabilizing it. So, which is kind of a bummer for all the people that are still on 2022. Yeah, it was pretty bad in 2022. I agree. That's why, I mean, even now, like, it was so bad that even now, like, you saw me autosave before I used it. All right. Oh, you are in 2025 and it still crashes? Yeah, all right. I mean, you know, it's gotten a lot better for me. I used it twice, you saw me, and it was fine. Here I'm just establishing planes for this piece. Yeah, definitely autosave every time before you use it. I mean, you should do that anyway, you know, why risk a lot of work? If you guys have any questions you want to ask, this would be a good time to kind of ask them, just because there's a little bit of a delay in the in the stream. So it's getting, I've got about maybe 10 minutes left, and if anybody has any questions, now is the time to ask. There were some good ones this time around. The weighted smooth mode was one of them. dude back. I think there's a sci-fi show starting on Amazon Prime soon. Wonder if it's any good. You know, I forget. Is the Sci-Fi Channel a thing still? Is the Sci-Fi Channel still around? That's a good question. Let's see if it is. Is it a streaming service? I guess it is. Official site, yeah. They have shows. It used to be such a big deal. I don't know if it's still a thing anymore. Shows? I guess they do have shows. Wow. Oh, they have Face Off. Oh my God, really? Yikes. Man, I remember when that was at its height, like it had shows like Farscape and what's the other one that a lot of people like? The Browncoats one. Why am I forgetting the name? Yeah, there's so many amazing shows on there. Yeah, this bike's starting to look really, really cool. I am liking it. Okay, I'm also going to remove the visor here. So let me see if there's a smart way of doing this. I think I'm just going to mask and then polygroup it and then just split groups. That. I might do a little bit more of this off camera if I have time over the next few days. I mean, it is kind of vacation days. So W, let's see, polyframe. I guess that's good enough. Oh man, I don't want to get these guys here. And also reduce this a bit. There we go. And then do a group split, group split. Always okay. There it is. Redynamesh just to close it. Clean up the gunk on the edges. I guess I could do it. By the way, I think this will be a good thing to show. If I don't want to do this thing where, you know, the thing where I was dealing with it, and I don't know if it will allow me to go back. No, it won't. A good way to do this is to do a smooth groups before then. But it's not that big of a deal to do a little bit of quick cleaning up. Somebody was saying something. Yes, I will be retopologizing it. Yep, I will, because I want to load it, get it into Substance Painter and work with it. So that is a yes. And I will be doing that in a stream, in a future stream. Okay, blue smiling face, blue smiling face. All right, good. All right, going back to this piece, and then let's dynamesh this one closed. And let's fill this with this color. All right, so I've got the glass kind of as its own separate piece. And I will be retopologizing definitely the glass here so that it works better. And let's just make sure this whole thing is the same color. Fill object. Yep. Okay. So, all right. So now I've got the kind of the glass as a separate piece, and it's starting to come together. Man, this is going to turn out to be a really neat bike. I can tell. And it's going to suck that I'm not going to have a rider in it in the composition, but yeah, it's going to be pretty good. All right, I think this is a good place to stop. Let me do a quick save, and then I'll save it later on. I'm liking the silhouette from the front. Let's get a perspective view. Yeah, I'm digging this. And it's red right now, so it is definitely looking a lot like the Akira bike. But my end result is not going to be red. It's going to be kind of a blacker, a darker color, like a gray metallic. And just to visualize that, I'm going to just choose a metal material. Just choose this one, green metallic, and I'm just going to hide all the polypaint, which will give me a better idea. I don't know if this is a good one. Going to be something more like along the lines of this. You know, it's going to be kind of gray or black metal. So yeah, that's what we're going to go with. And I think, what was the original material on this? Let's just go to basic material here, and let's bring all the red back. The red is good because it kind of reminds me of the Akira bike, you know, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. All right. All right, does polygroup it by polypaint work for you? I stopped working for me for some reason. Yeah, it does. So let me see. Let's try using it here. Z plugin, polygroup it. You mean this one right here from Paint Borderless? I know it says borderless here, but is this one the first one or the second one that's not working for you? I'll give you a few minutes to respond. So the question is this one the issue or is this one the issue? Because what we could do is we could just go and try this out with a previous version of a quick save that we did. By paint. Okay, so the first one. All right. All right, well, let's see. I mean, we have a perfect example of it over here as soon as it loads. If it does, hello, come on. Oh, do I have the undo on? How did that happen? That's weird. Okay, well, let me just get this to be actual. All right, so let's say we take this part right here, right, that has two painted pieces, and it's one polygroup right now, right? Let's just make sure it's one polygroup. Unmask it. Okay, one polygroup. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to polygroup, use polygroup it to see if this can be two different groups. So let's do it. Yeah, that didn't work. That's wild. Because it is two different colors, right? It is two different paint colors. So polygroup from paint borderless. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't work here because it's not black and white. So what you can do is you can recolor this. So go to polypaint here. That's why, because it needs to be black and white. It can't be any arbitrary color. So I'm just going to go to adjust colors here, pick this one, and make it black. Let's see if that works. And let's see, unmask overwrite. Choose black for that. And then for the other one, I'm going to choose white. So let's just kind of do this. By the way, also, let me see. Yeah, I also wanted to show this little thing, which is really useful. This is from a plugin called Ryan's Tools, that if you click on it, it changes this to black and white. Okay, so I'm going to do this again. I'm going to go to adjust colors, and then I'm going to turn this one black, and then I'm going to go ahead and choose this color right here, and I'm going to make that white and overwrite. Okay. That's weird. Oh, because it was masked. Sorry about that. I'll do that one more time. Okay, okay. That's weird. Why isn't this working? You know what? I think there's two. Yeah, I think there's three different colors going on here. So let me just. I'm just going to do this manually, which will be a lot faster. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the paintbrush, paint, and just choose white. Let's see if this works. So whatever is red, I'm just painting white. I probably could do this with something a lot simpler, but why not? Once we're down this road, might as well do it. So I'm just getting all the red out of this, and then let's just switch color here and then just paint this part black. Like this. All right, let's see if it works now. All right, and well, I mean, it's different. Like, I do get polygroups, but they are not what I expected it to be. I don't know if, yeah, I probably would just use the method I use, which is just use masking. But you know what does work though? The borders work. So here, let me do this one more time. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, it did this top part, but not over here. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and change this to one polygroup again, and go over here, and just fill this thing with white. And I'm going to just draw a border. Around what I want to separate, say like that. And then do border. And what that will do is it will, yeah, see? So now this, you know, whatever was black here does come in as a separate polygroup. I wonder if, let's try something else here. I'm going to go ahead and fill this all with white again. And what if I did, oh, let me go back to what I had before. And let's say I did border this way. Let's see what happens when I do that. Well, that kind of worked. I mean, in a way. I don't know why it had issue over here. I don't know if like because this is too close to it or something like that. Or maybe this was not like fully painted. But if you do border now, oh yeah, there you go. That worked. So that's one way of doing it, is if you just paint black and white and then just do border, then it separates it out. But yeah, I don't know why it doesn't do it by paint. Yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, so here's me kind of speculating again, but I think that, let me just see here why it's saving the undo history. And I think that's over here. Undo history, show timestamp, enable saving. I'm going to turn that off. Okay, and I'm going to load back the previous thing that I had. Okay, well, we ended it. So, you know, one of the things that I think is happening is that a lot of these plugins were written by other people. So what's happening is that maybe they're not keeping them up, or there's some issues with it. Like I find, you know, I found some issues with certain plugins that I notified their support about, and they're fixing it. But I don't know if a lot of these I don't know if a lot of these plugins are being updated. Okay, so they are trying to fix it. Okay, that's good to know. Hopefully they do, because that is definitely something that I used to use as well. Okay, so we're back with this, and I think what happened is, and this is a good thing to know, is that when I was on the iPad, it saved all the undos, but I don't want to save them. So the way to turn that off is just to go here and click off enable saving. So if I do a quick save now, it'll be a lot faster, and it will load a lot faster too, because it was taking too long to load, and I'm like, why is it taking so long? And it's because it was saving all the undo steps, which I don't really need in this case. All right, so we're about 10 minutes over. Let's see, last minute questions I can answer for you guys, but Tetsuo 9, thanks for letting me know about that. I didn't know that it wasn't working anymore, but there's a way to kind of go around it, and hopefully they will fix it. And with that, I bid you all folks a happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. And if you, wait, what? Kitco stopped working? Oh, really? That sucks. Yeah, I mean, this one, manual quotes, this one isn't working. That sucks. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I keep older versions of software around. I have 4 versions of ZBrush installed on this machine right now. So, you know, if you subscribe, you can always go back to older versions, and then if they work in the older versions, you can just use them there. Okay, so you're welcome, Tetsuo, and with that, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, have a good night, and hopefully there will be peace soon. I'm kind of tired of all these wars, and wish everybody a good night, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, same bat channel, same bat time on Friday. I think we will be in December. All right, have a good night, everybody.